Ladies and gentlemen, I have the distinct pleasure of reintroducing a very familiar face to the show, Ms. Marcia Griffith. And we're here to talk about pricing and sustainability and longevity, actually, when it comes to businesses. And why we chose this particular topic, you know, the budget just passed and many entrepreneurs are quite bothered about where the future is going for them, what's going to happen. And Marcia, as far as I'm concerned, is one of the more resilient examples of an entrepreneur ever. All right, and I could vouch for that. We've known her in the family for many years. She would do just anything legal to make sure her business survives and moral. And I really do respect that, and I use it as a daily source of inspiration. So I mean, just
made her blush.
Made her blush.
Yeah.
Well, after all of that, what are you going to say for yourself? Thank you, Jeremy.
But he has left me speakesless.
That's my team talent.
Okay, let's hope that you can recapture your speech. But give us a little background on your entrepreneurship, I suppose. When did you get started? I mean, Jeremy seems to...
Well, tell you how long ago I started. The year I started would be tell you how old I am.
Okay, well, a long time. So let's tell us the year you started.
I started in 1983.
83. That's just the other day.
You were young. It seems that way.
You were young.
It seems that way.
What gave you that drive to get into that area? I mean, we talk about it a lot now, but I'm thinking in 1983 it was being pushed that much. I may be wrong, but what gave you
it was quite by accident. I really wanted to do nursing, but my parents had different ideas. Everybody said, you know, get a job and work for a year and see how you feel. And I dropped into cosmetology, and I've been in it ever since.
Okay.
No regrets.
No regrets at all.
No, I've always been curious as to how you keep current and how a business stays resilient when you really are reliant on what people feel like doing. It's a luxury to a lot of people to go and have their hair and nails done so beautifully by you and your colleagues. How do you keep people interested and make them feel like it truly is a necessity to see you every 3 weeks, every 6 weeks, every month, when the financial priorities of their household might have shifted by then?
I find as long as customers believe in you as an individual and what you're doing, and you use the right product, customers come back. Once you're faithful to that person, and there are people that call and say, oh, I want an appointment at 11 o'clock, and they want that appointment every Saturday or every Thursday, and that person comes in, and within minutes you deal with that person. That's what people like.
So you're really selling the intangible as well as the actual product, or the hairdo, or the nails, or the skin.
Which was amazing yesterday. I heard the Prime Minister say that the 10% of the population are self-employed, but still yet we don't get any help from the government.
Okay.
We don't get any help whatsoever because we sustain ourselves. VAT has now gone up, but we not make $60,000 a year that we can apply for a VAT license, that we can at least reclaim a bit of it, but that is killing all the small businesses.
Which brings us, I guess, to the theme that Jeremy was going around, pricing and sustainability, because in a situation like this now where there is no assistance whatsoever, or little, you now have to be, I suppose, making sure that your prices help you to sustain, but on the other hand, make sure that you keep those customers coming. So do you have to find yourself constantly juggling, and especially when there's competition in the market too?
Keeping the prices at, like, the old customers that have been with for 20 years, believe it or not, pay the same price they were paying 20 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that...
The new customers that come into the salon are the people that pay the difference. Because when you have a pensioner that getting a small pension, but want to make sure that every 2 weeks my hair is done, you can't really take the price too high, you know. So you more or less you operate at a loss. Some months it actually just cut even.
That's connected to what I was going to ask you, what Colin asked. So, is it though, you mentioned customers want that when they come, they get their appointments, they want to know that their hair is going to be treated with a particular product, whatever. Is that a part then of why you're able to maybe pass on some of the costs because they know what they're going to get? So tell me about that end of it.
When you get a customer, excuse me, that comes into the salon with a horrible hairdo or something that they've been doing at home, and then when you do it and you explain to them the products you're using and the system that you go through and what you should or should not do at home, they appreciate that. And when they get the feel of the hair, especially if the hair wants a trim, 99% of the time, some person that does their hair at home, they come to the salon, the hair definitely needs a trim, a shape up, a treatment. And I always start with a treatment. I always say treatments, and then a chemical. They got some people that don't want to feel the little Negro under there. So every 6 weeks, I want my hair relaxed. And they're like, no. You go to the doctor give you a prescription, you fill the prescription, you take the medication. So when you go to the salon and the stylist tell you, this is what to do, or X, Y, Z, do exactly what the stylist says to do. Then you don't get a problem.
And all of this is wrapped up in your pricing structure. Your expertise, what you have studied, your ability to differentiate between different types of products and what suits people. Jeremy, I want to bring you in and ask you if you think the public understands that that is what they're paying for. Because I'm not going to go to Marcia and have her dump something in my hair that suits someone else's type of hair. But part of what she charges me is her knowledge. Do we understand that such that we are willing to pay it?
I think that operates on a case-by-case basis, to be honest. A lot of it is just really communication at the end of the day. What kind of relationship you do have with your, hairstylist is the right term?
Cosmetologist.
With your cosmetologist. The thing about Marcy, I mean, I've never been a personal customer, but I just took a friend of mine who came in from overseas to have, it was her nails done, right?
You said she wanted a pedicure and she doesn't want a pedicure.
Yeah, that was my fault.
That was just Jeremy being a man.
No, that was Jeremy not communicating properly. But the point is this. She became open with the customer. She spoke with the customer. The customer understood exactly what she was getting step by step. And at the end of the day, the customer was quite comfortable with the price she paid. Oh, I wasn't, but she was comfortable. Oh my goodness. I mean, for me, it's still a strange thing because I don't understand cosmetology.
That's why you're a man, Jeremy.
Exactly. Manly. I love it. Loving it.
Well, let's look at from the budget, Jeremy. I don't know if you've been looking at it and how it relates to small businesses. If you heard the PM say, Marcia mentioned it, small business on the rise. It's right here in one of the papers, 1,200 new jobs being created.
Yeah.
Is there any assistance for them directly?
Well, I mean, government now has put up this factory and facility for a long time. Many government contractors actually had issues with having their invoices fully paid within the standard 30 to 90 days. The fact is now that the Central Bank of Barbados, along with government, because people, we need to understand, Central Bank separate and distinct institutionally from government, right? They have no partner to do this liquidity facility, and it's going to allow contractors, the government, to get paid within what, 7 days?
7 working days.
7 working days? I don't think that's possible, but
it's not in Barbados.
No, I don't think so.
Let's be optimistic.
No,
you know,
here's why, right? Just to break down the procedure, because they clearly outlined that in the Barbados Today last night. So outline this procedure. You submit some invoices, you have to go to the bank, certain things have to be done. Let's say, suppose there was some issue with not only the invoice, but let's say the company itself. 7 days is too short of a time. I would have given it probably 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
I would have said 2 weeks and then supersede those expectations, because this is a point of frustration. This is not an endorsement, but the Barbados Entrepreneurship Foundation, one of their missions was really to help, or not facilitate, but to encourage the creation of this thing. I'm not saying that this is as a result of this encouragement, but it was of interest. And what we did find out is that several entrepreneurs were quite frustrated with the process. So the best thing to do was to offer more realistic expectations. If they get it within 7 days, then great, I'll go into a salon. I'll get my nails did.
Your nails did.
I'll get my nails did.
But do you think that's part of the problem with structure and longevity in business? Unrealistic expectations? And I'm posing that question to both of you from both sides. Unrealistic expectations in terms of the cost your raw materials either being maintained, having to source your products from abroad, keeping your knowledge updated, the cost of courses, and then on the business side, Jeremy, is it unrealistic for the service providers or whoever creates that enabling environment to think that these demands from entrepreneurs are not going to keep getting stepped up?
You want to take this one first?
You go ahead.
All right. Enabling environment is a very, very hot word nowadays. All right, let's just answer the question this way. More demands are going to be met. Entrepreneurs in Barbados want to become globally viable. They want to become, well, at least from my side of the business, more reliable as it depends or pertains to customer service, okay? So I expect more demands of government in the future. The thing we need to realize, however, as I repeated on the show last week, is that government is in a particular precarious position and that you need to be more responsible. I also echo those sentiments at the breakfast just after the budget, the private sector breakfast. I just think that as small entrepreneurs, Marcia clearly said, a lot of them have been doing self-financing. Yes, the VAT has been a big issue, and I agree there totally on the input side. But you just have to be more responsible and more creative. Do not expect government to do everything, especially now considering their precarious position where there's such a huge deficit. They do need to kickstart the economy, but we are living in a global economy. There are lots of regional financial companies that could help support you technically. And I mean, that's on the larger side. For small business persons, I think if you get a lot more associations going with a lot more structure, you can support each other in terms of buying inputs into your business. Bulk purchasing, we spoke about that up to last year. Bulk purchasing, that is a very, very powerful tool. I met a young lady who was trying to get together with a bunch of people, these are cooks, to get some stuff into the island. And obviously, the structure was an issue for her. And I don't know where it is right now. I actually would love to see her again and talk to her about that. But the structure is an issue, but there's a lot of potential there for that.
Marcia, do you see that as something that can easily be coordinated in your arena?
It can be, but it's getting the infrastructure, as he said, in place to get that done. Because as it is now, a lot of the products come out of the U.S. territories, and the companies bringing in the products, a lot of them are finding difficulties in getting the products into the island. Can't call names, but a lot of the distributors, a lot of products you can't get, so you have to find something else. If it's a product that's working for you, you can't get it, you have to then go and try to find something else that will work, and then sometimes the price goes up.
But does that not go back to expectations? Products will run out. Distributors will have challenges. Everywhere along the food chain does, from from plankton to the shark. What about your expectations as an entrepreneur? Do you not have a plan B and a plan C?
I have a plan B and a plan C. It works out more expensive to go out and ship your stuff in, but that is the route that I will have to take sometime before Christmas, because if you can't get the products in when the customer needs it, the customer is going to go on the shelf and pick up something and do it themselves, and that is
or go elsewhere.
Or go elsewhere.
So it sounds like you're saying it's not so much so that it's absolutely not available anymore, but it's getting it here to your salon that is the problem.
Yeah, because most of the time, okay, I might buy a dozen of one thing, a dozen of next. They say it is not feasible. They're bringing in a line of product.
Right.
So they're bringing sometimes 25 different pieces that would pack a container. And if they can only get 15 or 10, they're not going to ship the container because it's not feasible for them to bring half a container with stuff. So
and still pay the full freighting and duty.
And still pay the same freight.
That must be tricky though, because in your business you might have to try it, see how it works, and so you know how it goes. But these are the challenges.
You mentioned bulk purchasing, Jeremy, and as we wrap up, what about the possibility of, I suppose, setting up some sort of association, organization that is responsible for just purchasing the stuff abroad and bringing it in? I know the taxi drivers here had wanted to set up their own gas station and that sort of thing. Could a possible situation like that work for small business people too?
Well, it has to. It has to. It makes more sense to have those associations going around. When it comes to construction, there's a bunch of small contractors who've gotten together and formed an association. To see if it was successful or continues to be successful is another matter, and I haven't heard much about it since there was a big hurrah about it earlier this year. But it's going to become more essential that small business people have to work together within their respective ecosystems and take more risk. A lot of our entrepreneurs do not like to take risks, but that's the name of the game. There's no growth without taking risk.